Jermaine Defoe on exciting Spurs youngsters, a new CEO for Tottenham, and transfer rumours about another forward coming to the club in the summer. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Glenn Hoddle's been talking about Dejan Kulusevski. He said it's a massive blow for the club because Maddison is out as well. That position is up for grabs. I don't know if you could look at tonight and Ange could say, I'll play him there. I think they'll go for a straight three of Sarr, Bissouma and Bentancur, which isn't the right balance. Whether Bergvall might make it, I don't know, but Kulusevski is a massive miss. He's a top quality player and he likes playing against Manchester United as well. Jermaine Defoe has been talking about exciting Spurs players. He said, I was so lucky when I was coming through at West Ham in the academy. Harry Redknapp was bringing players through and developing them. But Spurs have got Mikey Moore, Damola Ajayi, who recently played in the Europa League and scored versus Elfsborg. And there's another kid called Tyrese Hall. He has so much potential. He's unbelievable and one of the best I've seen. In my 2 years at Tottenham, all of the teams that played against around the country, he was definitely one of the best. In fact, he's a Premier League footballer. He said you got Callum Olusesi, who has been in and around the first team and on the bench, and Will Lancashire. There are so many players in the academy that next season they should be looking to bring through. Hopefully the club will give them an opportunity. Chris Waddle's been talking about Tottenham's future ambition. He said the thing with Tottenham is they're a selling club, and I keep saying this, they don't keep hold of their best players. So straight away you're always looking for a young, talented footballer who will hopefully hit the ground running and do the business for you. If not like this year with all the injuries and young players who got an opportunity didn't grasp it. So if he was going to go to a club like Tottenham, so yes, a marvellous club, it's a great club, support's amazing, the stadium, training ground, everything is what you want as a manager. Listen, Tottenham had Mourinho, Conte, Nuno, these were all winners of trophies. Nuno took Forest well beyond what everyone thought they could go. Conte's top of the league with Napoli, Mourinho's won trophy after trophy in his career, yet he couldn't win a thing at Tottenham. So there's got to be a question mark about recruitment and the club's ambition. Vinay Venkatesham is set to join Spurs as CEO this summer. He has posted on LinkedIn advertising a job to work alongside him at Spurs, and it states, looking for an exceptional individual to fill an exciting role. This person will work closely with me and other colleagues to help deliver the club's key priorities. The role is ideally suited to a high-performing strategy consultant with 3 to 4 years experience and excellent interpersonal skills. This individual will support the delivery of the key priorities of the CEO across both football and business operations with a focus on the latter. They will support the CEO in various ways across those priorities, including analysis, project management, strategic direction, and by being a trusted independent sounding board in his decision making. This role will suit an individual who thrives in fast-paced environments, loves orchestrating organisational excellence, and has exceptional emotional intelligence as well as relationship building skills. They will undertake research, analysis, project management and related activities to support decision making around the delivery of strategic priorities of the CEO. The candidate will also be required to step in and represent the CEO in meetings as required, being a positive representative of the CEO at all times. And finally, Get Football News France have stated that Jonathan David announced earlier this week that he would be leaving Lille upon the expiry of his contract at the end of the season. What has long been assumed has now therefore been officialised. The Canadian has been free to engage in pre-season contract talks with other clubs since January, and there has been no shortage of interest. There has been significant interest from the Premier League and from Serie A clubs. L'Equipe understands that clubs from both these leagues remain in talks with David. As per the publication, Aston Villa, Tottenham Hotspur and Napoli and also Juventus all remain in talks to sign the Lille forward on a free transfer. It had been reported by Fabrizio Romano earlier in the week that Napoli were in advanced talks to sign the Canadian international. However, the race to secure his signature seemingly remains open as the end of the season nears. Okay, so here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Glenn Hoddle talking about Kulusevski. I've spoken about this before. It is a big blow for Tottenham. As I said, though, Kulusevski's form wasn't the best. He was still coming back from injury. So is he going to be as big a loss as he could have been had he been fit? Possibly not. But look, I'd rather have Dejan Kulusevski in that squad available to play than not. I think the midfield three likely to play, you'd think, if fit, Sarr, Bissouma and Bentancur are going to be... it's not going to be as creative, certainly without Maddison, Kulusevski or Bergvall in there, so we're just going to have to see. But here's a miss, but we've come through games. We've suffered injuries this year and we've come through them, so let's see how that goes. But Hoddle's definitely right. He did love playing against Manchester United there. Defoe talking about the academy boys. Absolutely, there's some real talent coming through there, and Jermaine obviously worked with those for a short period of time. He'd have seen the likes of Mikey Moore and Ajayi and Tyrese Hall that he mentions. I know he's got a lot of love for our under-21s and youngsters coming through the academy. As I say, he worked with them for a fair bit. And Callum Olasisi as well, he's mentioned him, Will Lancashire. Yeah, I agree. There is some real talent coming through. And don't forget the likes of Josh Keeley and Jamie Donnelly and some of the other lads are out on loan. Alfie Devine, for example. We've got a lot of young talent, but that talent has got to prove to Ange Postecoglou or whoever the manager is next season that they deserve an opportunity in the squad next year. So, you know, if they're all recalled for pre-season, they've got to show the manager that they're good enough to play for Tottenham Hotspur. Chris Waddle talked about the club's ambition. How many times have we heard this from ex-Spurs players, pundits, whatever? The ambition at Tottenham obviously has always been questionable. People will question the board, Daniel Levy, how the money's spent. We have spent money, but it's not been spent wisely on occasion. The club's obviously gone in this direction where we've gone for youth. Personally, I think we need to somehow over the summer blend it with experienced players. And obviously who those players are, which I'll come on to in a minute, will depend on our performance in the Europa League final. So it really is make or break and all or nothing in Wednesday's final, because the differences are stark whether you win that game or lose that game. I just hope we can get over the line, because it could affect next year and the years after, depending on how much money we've got to spend, pretty much. But he talks about Mourinho, Conte, no, look, I'm not going to go over them again. We all know the managers that have come to Tottenham and failed. Let's hope Ange can be the one that actually gets us over the line. And Vinay Venkatesham, I'm not going to talk about his old club much, but apparently he was very well liked and respected there and did a lot of good things. I've heard rumours that it was his idea to do the Tifo. Had a lot to do with the atmosphere in the semi-final against Bodo Glimt at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a few weeks ago. If it was him, great. Immediate impact. This job he's applied for. If you fancy it, the job's there. Go on LinkedIn, go to Tottenham and apply for the job. People will moan, obviously, that, they're not recruiting in the right areas. I think this is just the start. They're obviously looking, and Vinay's going to look at this, I would imagine, top to bottom in the club and see what needs to change, because clearly things need to change. Clearly people need to move on and be moved out and other people come in. Is he going to look at the whole structure? You'd think he will, being the CEO, so he's obviously been trusted in doing that. And the last story about Jonathan David, obviously on a free transfer from Lille. I think they need to explore this. I think Jonathan David is a very, very good footballer. Wages dependent. I honestly think this could depend a lot of transfers, as you'd imagine that it's going to depend on our performance on Wednesday. Jonathan David, you'd think his wages is going to be pretty high. He would possibly become the highest earner at the club. So is he holding out to see what Wednesday brings? Like we're in the race with Villa. Everybody thought the Napoli one was done and that he wasn't coming to the Premier League. It doesn't seem that way. But if I was Jonathan David, I'd be looking and watching Wednesday's game with a keen eye. If he wants to come to the Premier League, is it a straight choice between Villa and Spurs? At the moment, you'd have to say Villa look on course to be in the Champions League, but obviously Tottenham Hotspur has a draw of London, and if we can get over the line on Wednesday, then we'll have Champions League football next season. So, yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Jonathan David? Do you think he's right for the club? Have you seen much of him? What do you think of him as a footballer? Obviously, we're going to be losing players in the summer, so we're going to need to strengthen in those areas. And I come back to what I said yesterday, the possibility, there are rumours, I didn't mention it today, but Leroy Sané rumours are still flying around. But the Jonathan David one I've seen from several different sources today. So yeah, how do you feel about that? Get down in the comments and let me know. But that's all for today. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Come on, you Spurs.